Yeah, men and women are different in gender and backgrounds. Differences play a major part in marriage. God defines some major responsibilities, there you go, which are love and respect. I'm very sorry. Yep, I did miss that one. Ephesians 5 is you have two statements, two commands. They're both absolutely 100% unconditional. Our problem is we play games in the flesh of if, when, and deserve. He doesn't love, she must respect. She doesn't respect, he must love. Violate this, so the crazy cycle starts. Usually in this, that young man.
Yep.
You didn't really tell us the 533s.
The verse,
No,
The
the
lines.
blanks.
two statements, two commands, unconditional.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm off.
Would you say that a little bit louder? I want to hear that one. Witnesses, man! You're sweet.
You weren't supposed to give me a sword.
Okay. Usually, you know, and especially it would be true in our class, well-meaning, good intentions, you know. Well-meaning, good intentional people still can have difficulties if they do it God's ways. Why do we quarrel? And this was the James reference. Where do quarrels and fighting come from? They come from inside us. Letting our flesh go and having our way and everything else. They come from us. We choose to be quarrelsome. What starts the cycle? We talked about this a little bit last week. Body language, looks, words. Words being the big one. Tone of voice. Somebody saying, you didn't cover Ephesians 5:33. What are those? But did you notice the tone of voice was sweet? All right. Till we get home. All right. Oh, no. All right. Now, see the little star by where it says, women are masters with
Everything.
three-pointer. NBA three-pointer. That's way out there. What are women the masters of if you're in a crazy cycle? Beverly? Words. Words. Women are a lot better than us with words. Choose your weapon of choice. Don't make it words, guys. You know, don't make it words. Yeah. Women are better with words. And they'll come out quicker and sharper and everything like that. Last week, we introduced this as beginning of a solution. And this also was a James reference. Let every person be quick to what? Listening skills. Anybody besides me trouble with listening skills? Thank you. Mine are just terrible. Mine are awful. Beverly would ratify that in 2 seconds. They're bad. Quick to listen. Slow to anger and slower to speak. Speak. Quick to listen and slow to speak. Put those together and start putting those in your life. So much of this you come back to about marriage is still spiritual. It's spiritual. Are we believing the Word? Are we believing the Word? Do you really believe Ephesians 5:33? It is an obvious thing. Isn't it? I mean, that's what Emerson Eggers said when it finally come to him. He said, this was so obvious. How did I not see how to break down this verse? He said, obvious. We miss the obvious, right? There's a story of a salesman, door-to-door salesman. He knocks on the door, knocks, and pretty soon, a little 10-year-old boy comes to the door, and that boy is smoking the biggest stogie you ever saw in your life. It's just blowing smoke everywhere, and the salesman says, is your mom home? He takes a big drag, and he puts it in his face and said, what do you think? The salesman missed the obvious. A 10-year-old boy comes to the door smoking a stogie, even nowadays, you know, and he says, is your mother home? Duh. Missed the obvious. And that verse is there. And it was just kind of that epiphany moment that Eggers had too. It wasn't new, it's just been there. Why can't I have not seen that God is commanding this and that it's unconditional and you have to do it. You have to do it that way. Now, those are some of the things we've been working on or talking about. What have you been working on? not everybody wants. When this dim dies down, we'll go on. Joan, people way in the back. Okay, so, thank you.
Okay. Well, Bob and I have been married 43 years. And over those years, there have been ups and downs. And I would say taking this class has rejuvenated the marriage. Because you get complicit after being married that long and know your routine and know what you're doing. And so it's really made us stop and think and look at it a little more spiritual.
Spiritually, good, okay. You want equal time there, bud?
Yeah. When I tell her I love her, I really mean it.
The other day when you told me that, you said, when I tell her I love her, I really mean it now.
All the time.
All the time, okay. Clarify the point, okay.
Right answer, Joe?
Yeah. Maybe you haven't worked on it, maybe you just talked about it and said, we need to work on it, yes ma'am.
Well, today's our 18th anniversary, so we're gonna.
And your husband left you.
He's in Kansas.
Yeah.
So,
Right, from military.
this has been this class. We don't attend. We've never attended it together, so we've been talking. It makes us have to talk about it a lot more. What he had when he went to class, or what I found when I went to class. So we have been working on our communication. We don't spend a lot of time together. So we have been like intentionally calling and sending texts like, good morning, have a great day. You know, that has changed our marriage. We just don't communicate a whole lot when we're not together. And we've been really focusing on it. It's made a difference.
Okay. And the rest of you been just sitting and soaking, huh? Dave,
Yeah,
this Dave.
this one right here.
Yeah, that's what.
Well, anyhow, for better for worse all my life, and you got at least a small dose earlier in my life, I've been one who takes a look at a situation, evaluates it, and makes a snap judgment, and immediately has a bunch of stuff to say, whether the words are any good. Probably not as good as my wife's, to say the least, but as I've worked through that, and even as we've looked at this marriage class, and this not only helps me here, and I kind of implied this to you a week ago when I was talking to you privately, it helps me at school too. If I put a stop on my natural proclivity to think I know fully a situation and can make a decision like that. And I think that's really been a good thing, the James and the idea. And God's been working on me on that for a lot of years. This is just kind of the icing on the cake, that you are not nearly as smart, nor can you evaluate things nearly as well as you think you can.
Okay. No, it's okay. Go ahead.
Marquise and I actually took a seminar with Emerson Eggerichs, and so this has been a good refresher for that, but we've been more mindful of that. And actually, if anyone's been in our home, you know that Marquise doesn't take anything seriously. And so
Say that again, please.
Marquise doesn't take anything seriously. You cannot have a serious conversation with him. So when we're talking and we see things leading to what could possibly be an argument, we have, since taking this class, created a code word, and it's just crazy cycle. So we'll be in conversation, and if he feels like I'm not respecting him, or if I feel like I'm not being loved, we'll just crazy cycle, and he'll say, Larry told me to tell you I love you.
Really genuine, huh? Oh, dear.
It stops it.
Okay, all right. Yes, ma'am.
Well, it's been interesting for me to see, so I spent quite a bit of time reading Proverbs 15 this week. And it's been interesting, and I know I'm jumping ahead to next semester, but we've just been aware so much, like particularly with Caden, and even Emmy is kind of starting to follow his example a little bit, but he has so many words. He has so many words all the time, and he, like, if we're trying to tell him something, it's always, but Mom, I have to tell you, whatever, and, so I'm finding myself using this language a lot with him, and it's been interesting to see, as John and I are talking about this for ourselves, just sort of, it's just trickling down to the family, really, to just have this idea that we need to use our mouths less and our ears more. That's kind of the language that we're using with Caden, and so it's kind of becoming a family theme, really. That's not just for marriage, but
Jim?
So it's kind of showed me how do I show Chris love? You know, she's allergic to metal of any kind, so she's not really one for jewelry. Doesn't want any jewelry. Somehow flowers aren't the same when it comes out of the same bank account. And so,
Well said.
come to the weekend, I'm not really down with her honeydew list when football's on, and I'm thinking about hunting and shooting and other stuff too. So it's kind of that how do I show her love with you know, making me think about that more.
Good, that's great. We have a pillow in our home, it comes out right at the end of August, it sits in the living room on the floor, and it says, "We interrupt this marriage for football season." And it's hers. And it's hers. Put it out there, now zip it, Larry, I don't hear it till January. Good, thank you, these are just great. This is just a process, we're all banging in this thing together. How about back there?
Well, I would
Yeah.
say for me, it's the same as his but flipped.
Yeah.
So, I feel like I respect Tyler, I feel like, you know, that's something that is there, but I struggle with ways to show him that. Tangible ways that, you know, respect, we're kind of past the dad gets served first at dinner, you know, sort of thing that we used to try to do when the children were small. So that's where I am trying to find other ways to.
Good, and that is where we're going towards the end of this class, and we'll pick up big next week, and it came out of what I said last week. What does it look like when put into action? This is several areas. What does it look like? What do we do? And I'll allude to that and maybe just get it introduced here at the end of the class, and then we'll chomp on that, because we've been told to do this. Now, how am I gonna do this? And that's what everybody's saying, how am I gonna do this? What happens that way? Anybody else? Don't wanna overlook anyone. Yeah, Ken.
It's been on my mind on the he reacts and without love segments of the circle, how self-centered that entire section is.
Very good,
For me.
very good. Thank you. Going in on this, Anna?
Sure.
Don't worry, she's the only one I picked on. None of the rest of you will be picked on by name.
I'm a teacher, so I like to pick up things too.
Yeah, a little of your own medicine.
Yeah. I guess for me, like really thinking about ways that I can improve on myself have made me notice things that Brody does well. So when I'm working on me, I see how well Brody does at things. It's kind of weird.
Just give me 40 more years. Then come back and answer that question for us. Very good. Anybody else? Don't want to shut off the soul. Move here so I can eyeball people. No, I don't want to pick on you. Thank you. This is encouraging. I mean, I think on the first day when I talked about how I teach, I will do anything to get you to think. And that's what we're hearing. We're now thinking about some of these things. We're now thinking. We're trying to figure out what's God want us to do with that. Well, now here the question comes in here. Joyce!
I'm not married, but most people in my life are married. And as a single person, I have a lot of married people come to me saying, well, my husband did this or my wife did this. And instead of letting them talk, turning them back and saying, I'm not the person you need to talk to right now. You need to go back to your husband, you need to go back to your wife, and you need to make it right with them. You need to talk to them. So just stopping that, even the crazy cycle from spinning, not just within the marriage, but even outside of that, those ripple
Yeah, good thought.
rings of people in your acquaintance, so.
Circle of influence,
Yep.
ripples on the lake. Yeah, very good. Now, the next
Word.
thing, yeah, go ahead.
I'm talking twice, and that means nothing.
The bill's in the mail.
Yeah, but anyhow, what you said right at the start of the period, really, I never quite heard before about, there's not a lot of evidence about who might be leading some spiritual things. And I grew up in a house where my dad got saved after 25 years of marriage. And anyhow, one of the things my mom would have loved was for him to be the person who was absolutely knew what we were gonna do spiritually all the time. He told my mom, he said, I can never catch you. He said, you've been working on this, your family were Christian, my family weren't Christians, I can never catch you. And he was a church leader and everything else, but when it came to spiritual wisdom, he turned to her all his life, because I'd never catch you. But I'd never heard that said just exactly the way you said it.
I think that's totally fine. Well, look, I told you about my dad's home. And my grandma was, I got enough minutes, I think, my grandma was, you only think I'm old school. I mean, go back to my grandmother, you know, how I was 16 when she died, I think, yeah, 16. Tall, raw-boned, strong woman. And her faith was really strong, Southern Baptist. She had a few quirky theological things, I thought, because as a little kid once, I think you'll enjoy this. As a little kid once, maybe 8, something like that, I said, Grandma, what's wrong with dancing? Now, Grandma had an answer for everything. She also had a verse for everything. And right away she said, the Bible says, he who hasteth with his feet sinneth. Now, you know, put this in context. So, he who faces it, oh, good enough for me, 8 years old. I grew up in a parsonage anyway. I knew I wasn't good at dance. Okay. So I moved into high school, and outside of football, track was my favorite. Love track. If you ever did track, you love track. And we are at an invitational relay at Central Michigan University once, and I'm sitting there ready to run the anchor leg. I don't know how this ever happened, because I didn't have a brain at 16. In fact, you know, it's lost and the other one's out looking for it. I'm still looking for it. And I'm standing there like this, and it was almost like a bolt of lightning. Something came to my mind. I'm getting ready to blister that track with my speed. He who hasteth with his feet sinneth. And I thought, oh God, Grandma did not have that right. I'm about to haste with my feet, and I'm not sinning, I'm having fun that way. All right, now, question here, and we'll start to wind down a little bit. So, who goes first in trying to get off of this? Who goes first in demonstrating this? Who goes first? Who goes first? You know? Because that goes back to the if and when. Well, when she starts showing me some respect, I'm going to shower her with love. Well, when he starts loving on me, he will get some respect. And we've already seen that's wrong. I want you to go to 1 Peter chapter 3, and then we'll take the Romans verse also. Because your question on your note says, who starts first, the husband or the wife? 1 Peter 3, verses 10 and 11. 10 says, for whoever desires to love life and see good days, let him keep his tongue from evil and his lips from speaking deceit. Let him turn away from evil and do good. Let him seek peace and pursue it. Then Romans chapter 14. Romans chapter 14. Romans verse 14, and then it's verse 19. 19 says, so then let us pursue what makes for peace and for mutual upbuilding. The answer is, who goes first, the husband or the wife? And when you fill in the blank, the answer will be what?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, like in mine I wrote, yes. Yeah, who goes first, husband or wife? Yes. God lays it on your heart that you need to get some things thought through, straightened out. You do it. Because God says, you're going to follow after things which make for peace. Stupidest thing. And next semester we'll talk about that word can't come up with your children. Okay? Stupidest thing we could do would be to antagonize the situation. Who in their mind? What? You like to suffer? You like to go to bed without dinner? You like unhappiness? You like somebody mad at you? You like somebody chopping you to pieces with their words? Or their looks or their actions? No, the Bible says believers are to seek after that which makes for peace. For peace. You get that on your heart, you run with it. You do it. It doesn't make any difference what she says. It doesn't make any difference what he says. I'm going to love you to death. I'm going to respect you to death. All right? That way. Now, what does? I'll just write these two. And this will be the most trouble I get in the 10 weeks today. I want to know, what's it look like? I mean, you have expressed that, and that's just great. What does it look like to love? Now, I'm not going to let you, while they have a good place, I'm not going to let you cop out and say, buy her flowers, you know. There was a survey. Please forgive me. There was a survey, rather less scientific and informal, and they asked husbands, how do you romance your wife? How do you romance? That was the word. How do you romance your wife? And the men says, you bring her flowers, and you bring her candy, and you take her out to supper at Burger King, and you treat her really, really nice. And the men had all of these wonderful ideas and everything else. And then they asked the wives, how do you romance your husband? You two are not married. You may not listen to this. This is adult level. How old are you?
24. That's how old he is.
Do you have a card?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll card you before I tell this. So they asked the women, how do you romance your husband? And the answer was, what are you doing back there, Dick? Diane wants to know what I'm saying. Put it on record and get it. You're waiting on this next thing, aren't you? I'm going to pay a price. I'm going to pay a price for what's coming next, but to me it's too funny. I didn't say it, I read it somewhere and I'm repeating. So they said to the wives, after all the husbands, the flowers and the chocolates and everything else, they said, wives, how's the best way to romance your husband? And the answer was twofold. Bring food and show up naked. Put that on a text this afternoon. Yeah, right. Somehow we understand that way too well. Okay, now if you want to report me to the pastors, fine. It's okay. I'll let somebody else teach here.
Which line does that belong on?
The same one that says, put a rose in your mouth when you show up like that. All right. That's enough. Beverly, yeah, look at that.
I forbid him to tell that.
I was supposed to say, if I slid it by her, I was supposed to say, without clothes.
Oh.
Suppose I better tell her right here that I love her still, right? Twice. It's a two penance, one bill. It's a two. Okay. We're going to quit, but I want you to think. And we're going to take the easy one. Sorry, Anna. We'll take the easy one first next week. What does it look like? Now, if you start thinking about this, I'll give you a little hint. Where should you go for some answers? Yeah, your spouse. Good thinking there, Kim. Very good thinking. The biblical model for marriage is the relationship of the believer and the church to Christ. The model for everything that works is always Scripture. So where are you going to go to define love in your head and get answers for what does it look like to love my wife? How does that flesh out in deeds, actions, words, whatever, to get it done? Where are you gonna go? Who's the epitome of love? Christ. Yeah, I saw it on Facebook this week. Lucy asked Charlie Brown, what is love? What is love? And Charlie Brown says, love is a man named Jesus. You've seen that, many of you have seen that before. Oh yeah, great, awesome answer. So who models love? Who models love? And you know what, when you get into that, make it personal. Why does God love me? And how does he love me? And then have some Kleenex to clean up your tears when you try to figure out why God loves us. I don't know. Can you remember sing when the day is bright, sing through the darkest night every day, all the way, let us sing, sing, sing. And then chairs go out, please and thank you. Okay, let's sing one. Sing when the day is bright, sing through the darkest night every day, all the way. Let us sing, sing, sing. One closing assignment. Men may not use that joke to tell their wives how to romance them. You shut your mouth. Yeah. Got you, buddy. All right, thank you people very much. Love you a lot.
Is there,